Happy Saturday morning to you, Team Genesis Associates. Thanks for being with us. These Saturday trainings just keep getting better and better. We now have more than 40 training and business overview videos posted on our Team Genesis YouTube channel to help you grow every aspect of your business. Over the past few months, we've covered the following topics: leadership characteristics, professional phone etiquette, how to overcome objections, the importance of goal setting, social media advertising tips, show me the money compensation explanation, and how to host Facebook parties and in-home parties, and more. This morning, we're going to add to that list of great trainings with an in-depth look at CBD and its nearly magical effect on our endocannabinoid system. Our expert trainer will present eye-opening information that proves CBD has the power to transform lives, yours and others, including your family, friends, co-workers, and people you meet. Just think, this company pays you a generous commission to share the life-changing benefits of CBD with others, something most of us would do for free. We have a real and ripe opportunity here, ladies and gentlemen, to change the future outcome of people all around the world. And when you help others live their best life, including overcoming mental and physical challenges, you'll be rewarded with the chance to live your best life too, with optimal health and financial and time freedom. Now let's move on with the purpose of this meeting. Let me begin by telling you a little bit about our very special guest trainer, Dr. Robban Sica. Dr. Sica has a successful medical clinic in Westport, Connecticut, where she practices integrative and preventative medicine. She effectively treats her patients in mostly non-conventional ways using holistic medicine, anti-aging strategies, natural hormone replacement, nutrition and vitamin supplementation, including natural alternatives to medication, allergy relief treatments, heavy metal detoxification, and chelation therapy. Dr. Sica agreed to accept my invitation to be here with us today because she loves to share the good news of CBD with CTFO associates. Her presentation is chock full of information that's critical to your success here. So please pay close attention because what you're about to see and hear will give many of you the breakthrough you've been looking for. Dr. Sica, thank you for your time and expertise this morning. Take it away.
Janet, thank you so much for inviting me here this morning to share this wonderful information. Thank you for that kind introduction. I really very much appreciate that. I love sharing this information about hemp oil and about CBD and why this is such a significant advance and in medicine and also in health promotion. And so I'm going to jump right into the presentation here. We're going to talk first about choosing a really good hemp oil. And of course, one of the best on the market, if not the best on the market, is our very own 10X Pure CBD hemp oil. And then I'm going to go into talking about the endocannabinoid system, which hopefully will give you the information that you need to understand why this is so significant, why it's not just some snake oil. It really is, you know, a true innovation in healthcare. So first of all, I'm going to start with how to choose an effective hemp oil. And that's really important because everybody's hearing about CBD and they're going to be hearing about CBD a lot for the next, you know, forever. But, you know, it's going to keep, the information about it's going to keep coming out. There's going to be more and more companies and more advertisements about it. But nobody really knows the what's and wherefores and hows and how to choose a good product. And a lot of people don't want to try it because they don't know how to choose a good product. They don't know who to trust. They don't know what company to trust. Or they've got misconceptions that hopefully I can dispel throughout this presentation. So the first thing I think is very important is to use a full spectrum hemp oil. CBD or cannabidiol.
Excuse me, Dr. Sica?
Yes.
Oh, we're seeing your desktop, not your PowerPoint.
Oh, I'm so sorry. I'm not sure why that happened. Do you have it now? Can you see it now?
Yes, we do. Yep, perfect. Thank you so much.
Perfect. I'm so sorry. So choosing an effective hemp oil it's really important to choose a full spectrum hemp oil, in my opinion. There are uses for cannabidiol isolate by itself, but in my opinion, and all the years I've been practicing herbal medicine, the basic principle in herbal medicine is to use the whole plant. It's much safer, fewer side effects, and you get the entourage effect of all of not only the active components, but also cyanidins and terpenes and vitamins and minerals and other components that are in the hemp oil. So you really want to use the whole herb, not just the CBD. I think has more benefit to it. You want to definitely buy an organically sourced hemp oil, and that is very essential. Of course, CTFO, all of their hemp oil products are organically sourced. The reason that's so important is that hemp is a bioconcentrator of toxins. So it's actually been used in areas where the soil is contaminated to pull toxins out of the soil. And that's great because it helps to clean up the soil. Hemp grows really quickly, so they can run a number of crops to help pull those toxins out. The problem is that hemp can then only be used for non-consumable products. So if by accident or because some company's trying to save money, they make a hemp oil for human consumption or animal consumption out of that contaminated hemp, that can be a big problem because you can actually be increasing your toxicity level in your body, and you don't want to be doing that. The next thing that's really important is that it's good manufacturing practices certified. So the manufacturer of the product needs to be following the industry standard, and those industry standards are set by pharmaceutical companies, which are under very tight control from the FDA. And the good companies, the good nutritional supplement companies have adopted those GMP standards. So the fact that a company like CTFO has gone through the trouble, the extra expense to be GMP certified is very, very critical. And secondly, the third-party validation documents. What CTFO does with all of their hemp oil, including 10X Pure, is that they provide purity analysis done by an independent lab. And those are all in your back office on your CTFO website that you can view. And when you look at them, it looks like just a lot of list of chemical compounds. But what's interesting is you can look under the categories and see, for instance, heavy metals, and the levels will be 0, 0, 0, 0, 0 all the way down. You can look under the amount of pesticides, and it'll be 0, 0, 0, 0 all the way down. You can look under the mycotoxins or mold toxins, and you can see that there's 0. So that's really important because we know what we're getting, we know what we're not getting in the CTFO products. And they provide those validation documents, which are really critical. And the last point I'm going to make here on this slide is that hemp oil is oil soluble or fat soluble. It's only about 6% absorbed when it's ingested. So the problem with that is that you're not getting what you're paying for. If you pay for 100 milligrams of CBD, of hemp oil, phytocannabinoids, you're only getting 6%. So you're not really getting what you're paying for. You're only getting a small amount. Now those products are still going to work for some people, will still feel benefit, but the more we can increase the bioavailability, the more we can increase the absorption rate, the better the product, the more effective the product. And there's many clinical studies on that, but the 10X Pure is significantly higher absorption rate than most of the hemp oils that are available today. It's hydrophilic, as I said. It mixes with water, which makes it supercharged. It makes it better absorption, better potency. The interesting thing about 10X Pure is that the way that they make it hydrophilic is by combining it with several other essential fatty acids and fatty acids, short chain fatty acids that are commonly used. I've used them for years in my practice. And they've used a technology to oxygenate those oils to make them hydrophilic or water loving. So they get a very high absorption rate in the intestinal tract, sublingually under the tongue, but also into the cells, into the mitochondria of the cells, and into the brain. And that's a little different than even, you know, some of the other so-called water-soluble products that are out there. Those short-chain fatty acids and essential fatty acids also have their own benefits: antibacterial, antiviral, antifungal, and prebiotic products. The base oil for 10X Pure has been studied for 10 years outside the US and has been shown even by itself to have a number of wonderful health benefits. And then when you add the full spectrum hemp oil to it, you're getting a double, you know, a double punch there. You know, you're getting the benefits of both. Lauric acid is one of the components. It's found in coconut oil and also in mother's milk, and it's been shown to be effective in fighting bacterial and viral infections and boost your immune system. I've used that by itself in my practice for years and had good effects with my patients, and that's only one of 5 of these oils. And then we add the hemp oil, the 80 phytocannabinoids in the hemp oil on top of that. And that to me is one of the reasons why 10X Pure is like nothing else available on the market. And so these are the essential fatty acids: oleic acid, which comes from olive oil, which has health benefits. Capric acid is a prebiotic, which enhances the good bacteria in your gut and decreases the dysbiotic or so-called bad bacteria, bad flora in the gut. So that optimizes health. And we know that the healthier the microbiome in the gut, the healthier the immune system, the healthier the person's absorption, digestion, the lower their allergies and autoimmune diseases, et cetera, et cetera. Caprylic acid is an antifungal. Lauric acid I mentioned already, and linoleic acid is a known essential fatty acid that's a precursor to anti-inflammatory cytokines and leukotrienes in the body. So don't let those big words get to you. It's basically, these are all things that we all need for health, that are beneficial for health. And then we've combined them with oxygen. Oxygen in and of itself has a number of health benefits. Cancer, for instance, only survives in an oxygen-deprived environment. So not saying that introducing oxygen is necessarily going to cure a cancer, but it certainly is going to help that tissue to be healthier. By oxygenating it, they actually raise the pH and the specific gravity of the oils. The alkaline pH is very important for health. If you're acidic, people that are chronically ill are frequently acidic, and the tissues just become unhealthy as a result of that. The oxygenation process, as I've said, increases the bioavailability of the oil, as well as the hemp oil. So you're going to get more of that hemp oil in than that 6% with the kind of standard hemp oils that are out there. It does cross the blood-brain barrier and cell membranes and carries oxygen into the tissues. And most people will notice improved energy and well-being within a few weeks of being on the product. Now, sometimes it's faster than that, but I always tell people they need to be taking hemp oil for at least 2 to 3 months before they can really evaluate whether it's working for them or not. And the reason is that as I'll explain, how hemp oil works in the body, how these phytocannabinoids work in the body, is to balance out different systems that are out of balance. It may take time to get to all of the aspects that your body needs before you see, you know, the overall benefit on pain or on well-being or on energy that you'd like to see. It may take a while. So, you know, a person should give it at least 2 to 3 months. They may see benefits within half an hour. They may see benefits within a few days, within a week. But, you know, I don't like to emphasize that, because then if somebody takes it for a week and they haven't gotten any benefit that they can ascertain, doesn't necessarily mean it's not working at deeper levels to straighten out things that were more important to the body's restoring itself to health. My own story here, I'll give you my own testimonial on 10X Pure. I've been investigating and researching and utilizing various forms of hemp oil in my practice, as well as prescribing medical marijuana for about 4 years now. And I've tried several different other products, and I'm a pretty healthy individual. I do a lot of good things for myself. So I didn't really notice much of anything, didn't really seem to make much difference for me. I took a good water-soluble organic hemp oil for about, almost a year. And you know, I did it on faith that it was helping me, that it was balancing out certain things, that it was preventing, you know, more serious illness. But when I switched to the 10X Pure when it came out in October, within 2 days, the amount of well-being and like energy and just joie de vivre that I felt was just amazing. It was a big switch for me to just wake up in the morning feeling fabulous. And so that's my own personal experience with this. And I think that illustrates the difference that some people might notice because of that increased bioavailability, especially to the brain. So first things first, I want to explain about what cannabis sativa is, what all this terminology means, because it's very confusing to people. I'm sure you've all been up against it where somebody says, oh, is that marijuana? What are you selling marijuana? Is that legal? Those questions come up all the time, and they come up even when I recommend it to patients. So hemp and marijuana are actually part of the same plant, the cannabis sativa plant. However, hemp does not have high amounts. In fact, it has almost no THC in it. And I'm going to explain all of that in a minute. Whereas marijuana, of course, has high levels of psychoactive component THC. Hemp has been used for thousands of years, documented thousands of years for medicinal purposes, as well as rope, fabric, paper, and many other uses. And only until the 1930s was it lumped in with marijuana and put on the Schedule I drug list. And Schedule I drug from the FDA are considered to have zero medical benefit. So it's in the same class as heroin, even though hemp oil virtually has no side effects. Almost everyone tolerates it. There has no psychoactive component in hemp oil. So what it's doing on the Schedule I list never made any sense to me. And even marijuana, I mean, obviously there's been a lot of studies now on THC and marijuana that have shown health benefits. So, you know, the various states have started changing, you know, the availability of marijuana available for medicinal use or even recreational use now. And you know, that's obviously changing over time. We still have some progress to make in that area. So hemp oil contains over 80 phytocannabinoids. It's not just CBD. CBD is kind of the current buzzword because it's easy to say, it's kind of fun to say, CBD, but it's not just CBD. CBD is the chemical compound cannabidiol, but it's the one, THC was the first one discovered and studied. The second one to be studied of the phytocannabinoids was CBD. So that's most of the studies are on THC and CBD. So when you read the research, you say, oh, well, why don't I just do CBD? I don't need these other phytocannabinoids. But there are, like I say, over 80, and there's the initials for a bunch of them on the slide there. But you know, there's 80 been named, and there's more that they're discovering all the time. And as they study them, they realize that a lot of those single components have the same benefits or similar benefits to the phytocannabinoids, CBD and THC, that have been more thoroughly studied. And so, as I said, hemp cultivation was suppressed in the 1930s. It's still highly regulated in the United States, but the Farm Bill was just signed into law at the end of last year and taking hemp off the Schedule I drug list and making it legal for sale in all 50 states. Now, you still have to check with your state because sometimes there's still a little bit of misunderstanding and controversy going on as all this regulation gets straightened out. But technically, it is safe for people to purchase, even in states that are having some issues. They can purchase it and ship it to their own home. If you were a retailer, for instance, a health food store or a vape shop or whatever, and you're selling hemp oil, you might fall under the scrutiny of your state regulatory body. So I would be very cautious if you're doing retailing in those states. However, people can still purchase it. So cannabinoids, how the heck did it get called cannabinoid? First of all, the plant is cannabis, as I said before, cannabis sativa. There's also cannabis indica and a number of others, cannabis americana. And so the compounds, as they started extracting the compounds from cannabis, they called them cannabinoids, hence that connotation that it's cannabis, that it's marijuana. And I think that's one of the misperceptions that people don't understand and that they need to be educated about. So the compounds that come from plants are called phyto or plant cannabinoids. And again, there's over 80 of them been discovered, and there's a few of the names. And what was discovered later was that there are substances created in the body in humans and animals going all the way back to all vertebrates, which is millions of years. And those substances are called endogenous cannabinoids or endocannabinoids, endo meaning inside the body. So the cannabinoid site of action in the body is called the endocannabinoid receptors. And those receptors were only discovered in the late 80s, early 90s. So this research is very young. I certainly didn't learn about it in medical school. It was only just getting discovered. As I mentioned before, the full spectrum hemp oil has that entourage effect of all the different positive components, not only the 80 phytocannabinoids, but dozens of terpenes. It's been documented that those terpenes have positive benefits. The flavonoids, essential fatty acids, vitamins, and minerals, all of those things, components are beneficial to health that you lose when you isolate a single component out of there. So, so that's why it's really important. The endocannabinoid system is truly phenomenal. It's mind-blowing to me every time I think about it, because yeah, I went through medical school. We learned all about all different systems in the body and regulatory systems in the body. And we never knew that there was a system that actually regulates the regulatory systems. And that's what the endocannabinoid system does. But we couldn't study it because it wasn't available. Most of this research has been done outside the US, which I'll get to in a minute. So the endocannabinoid system is one of the body's primary tools for maintaining homeostasis in the body. What's homeostasis? It's the perfect balance that you need. So if in your nervous system, you need the perfect balance of excitatory neurotransmitters and calming neurotransmitters. And if they're out of balance, you're going to either feel depressed or you're going to feel anxious, maybe not be able to sleep, etc. If it's in your immune system, if your immune system is too weak, you can't fight infections, you can't fight cancer. If it's too strong, you make too much, you're too inflammatory, you develop allergies and autoimmune diseases like rheumatoid arthritis or lupus or celiac disease or other diseases. In the endocrine system, it's very critical. It's one of my specialties. I love the endocrine system. I love helping people to balance that out because it's so profound in its effect. But you need to balance the thyroid, the adrenals, and the sex hormones in proper balance for a person to have that kind of solid base to their system. And if any one of those are out of balance, then that's, can cause a lot of, symptoms and ill health. The endocannabinoid system actually helps to regulate the endocrine system over time. And of course, the sensitivity of pain receptors has been well studied with phytocannabinoids, because the endocannabinoid receptor actually, it's like the dial that controls how sensitive those pain receptors are. And if it's dialed up and your pain sensitivity is very high, then you're going to feel more pain than if that's ratcheted down and your receptors are less sensitive to the pain neurotransmitters. So that's really important, and it's one of the reasons why hemp oil and phytocannabinoids have been noted to be one of the few effective treatments. And this is going back, to the early part of the 1900s. It was the #1 treatment used for neuropathic pain, because neuropathic pain is the hardest one to treat, and it doesn't respond to opiates, and it doesn't respond really to much of anything else. So that's where we can make a huge difference for all these people that are suffering with pain, and help them to reduce the amount of the other pain medications that don't really work anyway and can be addictive. So here's the endocannabinoid system in a nutshell. I know it looks like a lot on the slide, but let me walk through it real carefully. You have your receptors that I was talking about, which is your CB1 and your CB2 receptors. Now these receptors are found literally all over the body, in every cell, in every tissue pretty much. The bone, the muscles, the heart, every one of the endocrine organs, and in the immune system and in the brain. The CB1 receptors are primarily found in the brain, so that is really important in terms of balancing neurotransmitters as well as endocrine function. The CB2 receptors are predominantly in the immune system and found elsewhere, throughout the body. So that regulates the effects of the immune system and inflammation on the body. And then you've got 3 of the phytocannabinoids, which are not actually, those are the plant, on this slide, the plant-based cannabinoids, THC, which is psychoactive, so that has a hallucinatory effect or a stimulatory effect on the brain. Cannabidiol, which is very calming and inhibits the effect of THC actually, and cannabinol, which is CBN. But on the right side of the slide there, as I'm looking at it, hopefully it's the same way you're looking at it, are the endocannabinoids, okay? The endocannabinoids are 2-AG, that's a long chemical name I won't bore you with, and anandamide. Now, 2-AG affects predominantly the CB2 receptors, which affects the immune system and inflammation. Anandamide, on the other hand, is a very interesting molecule that I'm going to go into more in a minute, that affects predominantly the CB1 receptors and therefore affects mood and well-being and things like that. Now, there are 2 enzymes, the MAGLA enzyme and the Fa enzyme, fatty acid amide hydrolase, that break down these endocannabinoids within the body. And it's, there's some research, there's some things that show that because of the amount of stress we're under, both in terms of emotional, mental stress in our busy lives, but also in terms of the amount of toxins, et cetera, in the body, that those enzymes get upregulated and destroy the endocannabinoids that we have. So then, what you end up with is a deficiency of endocannabinoids, which I'm going to talk about in a minute. So again, here's a nice slide, pretty slide, showing the CB1 is mostly in the brain and CB2 mostly within the immune system, but again, throughout the whole body. There are over 23,000 studies and counting of health benefits of the various phytocannabinoid, but when we do research, we very seldom study a whole herb because that can't be patented. We can't make a drug out of it. So the money for research tends to go to one component, whether it's THC or CBD or CBNA or CBN, and kind of isolates it because that's just kind of the way the research process works. So we're not really looking at the full spectrum of hemp oils, but there's still, if you look at all the different phytocannabinoids, there's many studies. I'm sorry, I'm going to go back for a sec because I thought I had another slide on anandamide, and I must have taken that out of the slide deck. Anandamide is been called the bliss hormone, or the bliss molecule, because it is very, it's elevated when you meditate, when you do yoga, when you pray. It's elevated with any kind of extreme athletics, that runner's high that they talk about. That's production of anandamide in the body, and you get that sense of just extreme well-being and being plugged into the, plugged into source, plugged into God, whatever word you want to use. That's that connection. The molecule in the body is actually anandamide. And so it's really super important. You look at the degree of depression and anxiety in our society today, it's just insane. So anandamide becomes a really important molecule. The other thing about anandamide is it's in chocolate. No wonder we all love chocolate, right? But it's also in mother's milk. And so it's part of the mechanism, one part of the mechanism that it helps with bonding the infant to the mother when the infant is nursing. So it's really an important molecule. And a lot of people either don't get enough of it, don't make enough of it, or they're breaking it down too quickly. So the wonderful thing about that I love about CTFO is not only do we have the 10x Pure, but we also have a wide variety of products that are, suit a number of different needs. Some people don't like the taste, or they're not going to take an oil. They want it by vape. Vape actually increases the bioavailability as well, so that's a good thing. There is a CBD isolate for people that are afraid of drug testing with the small amount of THC that's in a full spectrum. The hair regrowth products are promising to be just amazing for people. Some of the samples I've seen over the last, it was launched 4 months ago, and people have been on it now for 2-3 months, and they're seeing a tremendous amount of hair growth. And all the other different products. I have to say the pet products, it's amazing for dogs and cats. I have an older dog that's for a while, she was really lame. We couldn't figure it out. And she's on CBD and she is doing great. And what's interesting, she's 8 years old now. She really stopped playing when she was around 5, like not really interested in playing with other dogs. And just kind of wah, wah. And now she's actually playing with other dogs. She actually romps around and plays and gets in the action, and it's just so wonderful to see. So I just want to thank you for your attention this morning. This is life-changing information. Obviously, it's been kept from us for so long, and that's caused a lot of, unfortunately, ill health in our population, and I'm sure has contributed to the skyrocketing healthcare costs in our country. And we have the ability to reach out to people and teach them this information. Remember that phytocannabinoids don't cure anything. The endocannabinoid system just simply restores homeostasis and balance in the body, thereby restoring health. We don't need to make health claims. We don't need to say, oh, it cures this or cures that, nor do we want to. That wouldn't be in compliance. We really need to educate people that this is something you want to take to help restore health to your body, as opposed to suppressing disease, which is what pharmaceuticals do. It's a totally different way of thinking about it, totally different way of thinking about health. And of course, that's the way I've been thinking about health in my practice for 34 years now, is how do we restore health? How do we help people to heal, as opposed to reducing symptoms or suppressing symptoms? And so that's what's, one of the things that's very, very critical to change the way you're thinking about it, instead of, oh, is it good for this symptom? Is it good for that disease? And you'll get those questions. And a lot of times the answer will be, yeah, there's research that shows that. And people can look up the research. It's out there in the, on various medical PubMed and the other search engines. A lot of it's in the scientific literature, so you got to dig a little deeper, but it's out there. But really what I want to leave you with is the power of the endocannabinoid system, the power that we have with these products to modulate those receptors wherever they are in the body to restore the health of those cells. And in return, those cells then will restore the health to the person. We have such an ability to make a difference in the world here. And I'm just so happy to share this information with you. So go and change the future outcomes for as many people as you can. Thanks again for listening. Appreciate it very much.
That was a fascinating overview of CBD and our CBD products and the real impact that they can have on our wellness picture. It's no wonder CBD is the most popular and promising healing agent in the world today. We're so grateful for all you shared with us in this training, and no doubt it'll help all of us be better professionals, now really better understanding the value we bring to others. And at the end of the day, that's what it's all about. Klaus, let's take just a few minutes to let Dr. Sica address some of the questions that have been posted in the chat area and Q&A area of this meeting, please.
Yes, we have you, Dr. Sica. First and foremost, thank you very much for this amazing presentation, and it will be shared with a ton of people. I have one here, and Norma asked the absorption rate for vaping. How would you answer that?
I don't know the exact percentage, but I do know that one of the reasons that vape is recommended, for instance, I'm gonna go to my experience with medical marijuana, is that it gets a much more rapid absorption and a much better absorption. I don't know the exact percentage, but it does help, like for a pain patient that's using the vaping, they get a better, more sustained response, and that's why it's often recommended to pain patients because of that. I think also though, when you look at, again, referring to medical marijuana, you look at, gummies or edibles or whatever, again, you're only getting that 6% absorption, and it's pretty erratic. And if somebody has poor absorption, if they have malabsorption, they're probably even getting less than 6%, whereas vape when you vape it, you're actually getting it into all the little surface area. There's tons and tons and tons of surface area in the lung and all those little areas, and it gets absorbed very quickly directly into the bloodstream. So that's why it's so powerful. I still have concerns. I mean, obviously, if you're using an organic oil that's in a good base and there's no artificial chemicals or anything in there, it's probably fairly safe to vape, certainly safer than, smoking a cigarette where you're getting all that combustion product into your lung. I think there needs to be more research on vaping with good products, but it's definitely safer than smoking. But it's I still have concern. Now our products are fairly clean. Certainly the CBD is organic, et cetera. So I don't have the concerns that I would have with something that's a nicotine-based product. That's there's a lot of them out there now that are vaped.
Oh, wonderful. Thank you. And this goes to the same question before. Somebody asked, if you are not vaping and if you would like the highest bioavailability absorbed in your system, what would you use? Would you use the oil? Would you use a spray? Would you use the capsule, the gummies?
The 10X Pure by far and away is a superior product to anything that I've seen on the market. And I was using a product previous to this that had documented 94% absorption of CBD in 30 minutes under the tongue. And 10X Pure, in terms of my experience with outcomes, we don't have that data yet, it's coming soon, but it blows that away. And I think the reason is it not only gets into the system, into the blood, which is what they were checking in that study, but it's also getting in a deeper penetration into the cells and into the brain. More importantly, I can tell for myself personally that it definitely made a big difference in, for me, in my cognitive function, in my mood, and everything. So I can tell you it gets into the blood-brain barrier. I don't need a study to prove that. But I think that's the research as we go forward. The research that CTFO is going to be bringing forth, showing the 10X Pure. I think the 10X Pure is just an absolutely amazing product, and it's done under the tongue. It absorbs very quickly. It doesn't really taste oily. Some CBDs taste oily or they have a little aftertaste. The 10X Pure just gets absorbed so quickly and doesn't really taste like much at all, to tell you the truth. It has a little mild oily taste. And I've actually done research on the researcher who developed the 10X Pure base, that oil, and was actually using that extensively. And there's a number of people that have used that to dramatically improve their health in the past 10 years. And I've seen all kinds of testimonials on his website, etc. And that was before we combined it with 10X Pure. So the fact that before we combined it with hemp oil, so when you think about it, you've got the 10X Pure, which has all these health benefits of itself, in and of itself. Now you have the hemp oil, which has all these proven, researched health benefits, and you put the two together, bam, bam. Wow. Just amazing. So that's really the only product that I recommend to people, other than some of the topical pain creams. The Ultimate Deep Healing Pain Cream works amazingly well. And then if somebody has a specific need for anxiety or for, sleep, I might add the sleep spray or the stress reduction spray or something like that if they're not getting good enough results with the 10X Pure itself. And I usually recommend the 500. I think for the majority of people, that's probably strong enough. But anybody with a really serious health concern or wants to really get started off with a bigger impact, I would say start with the 1500, then the 1500 milligram.
Thank you very much. And I know we could ask you all day long questions. And I have one last one for you that always been asked. What is the THC level in our products?
Well, the THC level that I saw when they first launched it, I looked at all the analysis sheets, the chemical analysis sheets, and there was 0 THC in there. Now, I haven't seen sheets to the contrary, although hemp oil in and of itself has up to 0.3 0.3%, which is a very tiny amount. You won't get high on it. You won't have any adverse effect for it, from it. I think in probably the hundreds of patients I've recommended hemp oil to, it's maybe less than 1% feel any kind of fatigue or anything from hemp oil. But it's a very small amount. I did hear kind of through the grapevine, so it's hearsay, that they did put the THC back in, that there was some pressure to put the THC back in. But again, it's 0.3%. It's not anything that's, you know, a therapeutic level in the sense of the uses of THC. And there are some good uses for THC, by the way. There are some reasons to use medical marijuana over hemp oil, but, you know, for cancer patients that are having a lot of nausea, people that are losing weight, and what we call cachexia and anorexia, that they're not eating, they don't have an appetite. So there are some reasons to use THC. I think for the average person, the 80 phytocannabinoids, with or without that 0.3%, that, you know, tiny little dose of THC, is the way to go. First of all, it's legal, it's gonna be less expensive. It's actually quite expensive to get medical marijuana. And it's not always the best choice for people, to tell you the truth. I've had much better results with hemp oil than with my medical marijuana patients. Some of them do great with it, but most of them just don't feel well with it. They don't like the side effects, puts them to sleep, makes them feel woozy or weird, and they don't like it. So probably, I'd only say less than a third of my patients that go on medical marijuana, they try it a few times and they don't continue with it. So you know, there's all this emphasis on the THC, and I understand the research is there and it's beautiful. It's a lot of good research, but I think there's also some real downsides to THC, especially in a younger population. It's been proven to inhibit memory, even in older, in any age. And we obviously all need our memory. We all need our brains to be sharp. And, you know, some susceptible individuals will actually develop psychosis with THC. Now, not at the level of what's in hemp oil, but with you know, marijuana products, there are certainly people that are very, very susceptible to the adverse effects of that. I hope that answers your question.
Yes, it did. And thank you very much, Dr. Sica. I made tons of notes here, and I think we give it back to Janet Larson.
Awesome. Janet, thank you again so much for having me on the program. I'm really thrilled to be here and share this information.
Well, thank you, Dr. Sica. You have exceeded our expectations this morning. So thank you again. Well, that's a wrap, Team Genesis Associates. Thank you for honoring our special guest presenter with your presence this morning. I trust you got what you needed here to go out into the world and make a difference. Now is the time. CTFO is the program, and we are the team of leaders who will help you cross the finish line. We'll see you again on Wednesday night for another great business overview and guest interview. Have a nice weekend, and God bless.